What I have to say is huge. It is very important. At one point I asked myself, I said, is this why you raised me up? So, you don't have to be in suspense anymore. At the end of the presentation, you'll have a clear understanding of why I said what I said. What I have to say is very important. I am not about to say, or what I'm about to say, I am not saying for popularity, for fame, for sensationalism. In fact, I am fully aware of the negative responses, the criticism it might generate from some people. But none of these things phases me. None phases me. No criticism. What I'm about to say, I say in obedience to God. It was around 2019 to 2020, thereabout, in the early hours of the morning, around 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., that the Lord began showing me a series of visions. In fact, many were to me more than visions, because when I came out of them, I actually heard the voice of the Lord. I mean, I'm not talking about a vision here. I actually heard. And this happened repeatedly. When I say repeatedly, I mean different visions, different times. And that is how I knew many things about COVID and what was happening. It was not an emotional thing. It's like the Lord prepared me for that. I knew from my devotion, from my prayer, from hearing his voice, seeing and hearing, not just seeing, but coming out and hearing God speaking to you while you are walking, you are hearing his voice, and that is happening. How could you doubt that? And every time he spoke like that, exactly what he said came to pass. So that is how it was. So he told me several things about COVID-19, what it was, the global impact it would have, and what would be the outcome. To date, everything that the Lord told me, I believe it was the Lord. People can believe whatever they want. But all what he told me has been validated. I want to say that the first time Trump ran for office, I was told that he would win. Again, in that same settings of the Lord speaking to me. And I shared it with a few folks, and he won. The second time Trump ran for office, I was told he will lose. And how he will lose? That he will lose by a rigged election. And I lived to hear Trump himself say that the election was rigged. And indeed he lost. And he lost when many was convinced. As a matter of fact, there were people that I tried to indicate to that he will lose, and they were like, don't talk negative. You know. But I knew he would lose. The third time Trump ran for election, everybody was saying he would lose. I was told he would win. I shared it with a few folks also. And guess what? He won. Now it was around 2020, for the first time, the Lord began speaking to me about a very popular and influential man. I saw his face. I told a few people, including this church. Around February 2024, the Lord spoke to me and told me to go aside and spend some time with him because he wants to show me some things. So I obeyed the Lord. I rented a hotel for 2 days and I went aside. And that was just before Trump election, 2020. 2024. And sure enough, as I slept, on March the 15th, 2024, I had two visions. The impact will probably be more than anything I ever saw by way of vision. What I saw, I wrote down. And here's the first one. Again, I repeat myself. I saw Donald Trump. This is a vision. In this vision, I saw Donald Trump will win the election. And in winning the election, he will reign like Reagan. Sure enough, he won. When he won, he said, Reagan is the man he wants to pattern. And he put up a picture of Reagan. And I told folks before he won that he would win. I will tell you at the end of this presentation, I will tell you the second vision that I had. The second person the Lord showed me that same night. This is the main reason why he told me to go aside. Because when I came out of those major shocking visions, up to now I don't have words to describe how I felt. I said to myself, why would the Lord choose to show me such major things like who would win the next presidential election? Why would you show me? I mean, the whole world was tossed up over this. And here you are telling me, the third time, what the outcome will be. And what the nature of his leadership would be. I said in my heart, I will never tell anybody about this. I will wait first. No, that is the second man the Lord showed me. That I said I will never tell anybody about. I will never. I said I will wait first and see if Trump will really win. So I'm waiting to see because I saw two men, Trump and this other guy, and what this other guy will do. So what would you do? If you were in my position, you want to wait and see if he will really win because I got the both of them at the same time. And this is not joke, this is world leaders, so serious stuff. So Trump won. But after Trump won, I was still reluctant to talk. And I remember Sister Patsy Clark came and said, what the Lord told you to go outside for him to show you is true. And I never told her, never told anybody. And then one night recently, the Lord told me, let the people know. Let the people know now. And that is why I stand here. Okay? So, I'll give you the second vision, the second person, a little later. So I have, this tonight will be a little long, but stay up with me, because I have to go through this. This is huge. This is very important. So I want to run these videos. I couldn't put everything in the order that I would have liked to, but I pretty much understand the contents, and I think I would be able to explain certain things and navigate as we go through. I would have loved to have done this in a better setting, probably like in a studio setting, like what I did with a video on how the whole pandemic and the COVID-19 played out. It acquired over 500,000 views, and this is bigger than that. Okay, and I'm not going to measure it by views. I'm just thankful that I could obey God tonight, and so let's see how it goes. The information is going to get out tonight. Trust me, it's going to get out. And however it hangs, it swings, I would have done my part. Let it roll. Let's start with the first one. I have some pictures and some videos. After every video, I'll try and pause probably and say a few words, or if I feel to go forward. Do I have that presenter that I could use to activate for myself? But while you are doing that, you could, for the interest of time, you could start.
It is the unvaccinated who are the problem.
The truth. Maybe they should be shamed, but the unvaccinated.
It's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks, not the regular folks.
We can't trust the unvaccinated.
The unvaccinated, a group that includes children and people acting like children.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated?
Oh, you can't shame them. You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly. Yes, they are.
Those who are not vaccinated will end up paying the price.
The unvaccinated should be taxed. They should pay more for health care.
We need to start looking at the choice to remain unvaccinated the same as we look at driving while intoxicated.
Really, the only people dying are the unvaccinated. And for those of you spreading misinformation, shame on you.
We've got to shun folks. We've got to shun people into getting.
To shun those that refuse to get vaccinated.
The unvaccinated people have put us in the position that we're in now, and it is not a good place. You got to start telling people, if you don't get vaccinated, you can't come into this office or this place of business. If you don't get vaccinated, you can't come to work.
No, screw your freedom.
Freedom is a fragile thing, and it's never more than one generation away from extinction.
Rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God.
Never give in. Never, never, never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy.
So you see how it was back then. All of that was a plan to get everybody vaccinated with an mRNA vaccine or some kind of vaccine that they called Agenda 2021. And thank God, we survived that time. We stood our grounds. Let's continue. Let's continue.
I am connected to vaccines. I plead guilty.
Bill Gates just said something that has the internet exploding. I am connected to vaccines. I plead guilty. And yes, he immediately tried to walk it back, but the damage is done.
Why is this happening? There's a new era of this mistrust and sort of conspiracy going on here.
Well, it is almost ironic that, the Gates Foundation was very involved in getting COVID vaccines out to the world. The thing where you could use the swab for the test, we pioneered that. We were the first ones to show that there was COVID in the US from people who hadn't left the country. We funded a lot of the vaccine capacity.
For millions of people, those words hit hard. Tens of millions were affected by COVID vaccines. Reports of injuries and even rising rates of certain illnesses have kept the debate alive. And now, a billionaire whose foundation helped shape global vaccine policy makes a statement that sounds like an admission, even if he quickly corrected himself.
I am connected to vaccines. I plead guilty to, being involved in that miracle. The idea that turned into, that I'm using COVID vaccines to track people's whereabouts.
I'm sure you're very curious where everyone is.
Yeah, what? And now that I have that information,
what am I
going to do with it?
Reporters insist it was taken out of context. They say Gates was talking about the foundation's involvement in vaccine distribution worldwide, not confessing wrongdoing. Critics, however, see it as a rare moment of candor, revealing how much influence private individuals have over public health and the consequences when things go wrong.
So Bill Gates said he pleads guilty for being involved in that miracle. You see the kind of subtle words these men are speaking? And a lot of people are crying out now of the wrong that was done, and it's clear now across the world that the vaccine was part of a plan and that it damaged people, it injured people, and it was not a good vaccine. It didn't bring any solution. And there's a guy by the name of Francis Boyle, a graduate of Howard University, an international lawyer, and he was an advocate against the vaccine and for the sort of a Nuremberg trial to return for these guys. And so they were having a court involving some of these movers and shakers like Bill Gates and Soros and these guys. And you know what? Mysteriously, just a few weeks ago, Francis Boyle was found dead. So something is happening. Something is happening. Let's continue.
I'm Christina Awayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. Bill Gates is funding technology that inserts mRNA vaccines and permanent quantum dot markings under the skin. Researchers from MIT, funded in part by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, developed a dissolvable microneedle patch. Think a tiny sugar-based array smaller than a postage stamp, designed to deliver vaccines while leaving behind near-infrared quantum dots in the skin. These dots, crystals about 4 nanometers wide, fluoresce under special smartphone modified cameras to encode vaccination data like a pattern indicating the shot that was received. The goal? Better record keeping, they say. However, many critics believe that the microneedle patch implant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation embeds the mRNA vaccines and quantum dot markings to enforce biological vaccine passports for everyday life. They warn of a future where Americans can't buy groceries, dine out, hit the gym, or travel without scanning their skin like a barcode. While the technology exists in labs, fact checkers say that
he has two major statements that he says over and over again. Vaccines are the greatest return on investment I've ever had. And my number one goal and the biggest issue of our time is overpopulation.
Yes.
Right? We need to reduce population. He doesn't say that accidentally. He did the TED Talk where the heart of it is how through modern medicine and vaccines, we can reduce the population of the world.
First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
That is a statement that came out of his mouth. I'm paraphrasing, not exactly, but they try to retract it. And then in the next video, he's doing a whole thing on how we need to reduce the population of the world.
How there's too many people and it's causing the problem, all the problems of the world.
So when I'm like, when any of us, it's a conspiracy theory to say that vaccines are reduced. Well, I mean, is it?
So you could see what he's planning is this tattoo that will take the place of the phone, and the plan is to depopulate, is to kill people. And he said it on TED Talk that if they do a good job with vaccination, they can reduce the population by 15% at that time. But really, it's more than that. And you would see as we go along, and 15%, you're talking about over 1 billion people. That's a lot of people to kill. And so let us continue to listen.
The Charlie Kirk assassination and which direction the bullet came from. Well, monsters like this are actually in the background changing the future of humanity. There is nothing bigger going on in the world right now than the digital IDs that are being rolled out globally. This is going to impact people's ability to work, people's ability to bank, people's ability to buy and sell, their ability to travel.
Yes, I began telling you about that, and it is coming. Now, when I heard what I heard from the Spirit of the Lord, what do you think I did? Of course, I would be listening to see validation of this person, because this is the person that I saw, Bill Gates, and lo and behold, I'm seeing all these videos about this man in doing these things. So let's continue. The picture will get clearer as we go along.
Here's the new Bill Gates plan to vaccinate the public without you even knowing it. Unlike traditional jabs that use a needle, the Canadian government is now funding trials of an mRNA aerosol project based on technology originally backed by the Gates Foundation. It's called AeroVax, and instead of an injection, it's delivered through an aerosol spray inhaled directly into the lungs. The Canadian Institute of Health Research just invested $8 million of taxpayer dollars into this project, moving it forward into human testing. They claim it's more efficient and easier to deploy at scale, but here's the real concern. If people are refusing traditional shots, is this the backdoor strategy to get it into your body without you even realizing it? They claim it's meant to be used for just one person at a time, but they also secretly said this will help with vaccine hesitancy. This same technology could easily be scaled up, turning an individual spray into something that could be released over larger groups. So please be aware and make sure and click that repost button.
So they are seeking different avenues to get their agenda done. Let's continue.
I think what people need to understand really at the end of the day about a digital ID is the digital ID itself is not the problem. It is the vehicle that will make all of the other stuff not just possible, but almost inevitable. Think of it like an on-ramp to a superhighway that has no...
Just pause this video. This is the real deal. I believe this is what they really want. This is they had hoped that COVID will bring us to this. This has been in the plan for years, and you'll hear this. And that is why I told you, this is a red line. Once the world crosses that, there's no turning back. Listen carefully. This is the agenda. If they can get some disease, some pandemic, some plandemic to force us to go the way of digital, that's what they tried during COVID, that you must get this ID, and people railed against it, but they were hoping that they would have this great outbreak. But we were here praying, and the Lord even spoke to my wife and said, one thing will pass and another will come. And the Lord was giving us assurance that there'll be light at the end of the tunnel. And so God would have it to be, not now, and he delayed it. But I want you to be assured that was the plan, that the whole world will take an ID, a digital ID. Because once you do that, you abdicate your freedom to a system. Let's continue. Sorry.
I think what people need to understand really at the end of the day about a digital ID is the digital ID itself is not the problem. It is the vehicle that will make all of the other stuff not just possible, but almost inevitable. Think of it like an on-ramp to a superhighway that has no exits. Once you get on that on-ramp, you can't turn around. There's nowhere to get off. And you don't have to speculate about what they want to do because they've already told you. Just listen to some of the sessions as a World Economic Forum. Listen to Yuval Noah Harari with his nonsense about Homo Deus and surveillance under the skin. Pick up a copy of Klaus Schwab's book on the Fourth Industrial Revolution. He summarizes this in one sentence. He says it's a fusion of our digital, our physical, our biological identities. And then he breaks that down in the book. He talks about mandatory government brain scans to determine whether you're thinking thoughts that might represent a security risk. I mean, that's the kind of nightmarish future that these megalomaniacs and totalitarians have planned for us. And the digital ID is the critical piece of the puzzle that's going to make it not just all possible, but inevitable. Once they have you in that, they can give you as many boosters as they want to give you. They can, I mean, we've heard all of them talk about it. They're literally marketing this to Americans now on NBC Fake News. You're going to have your chip under your skin, and it's going to be your digital ID and your digital wallet. I mean, the EU is rolling out right now your digital wallet with your digital ID, your digital currency. It's happening as we speak. It's not a hypothetical future threat. There are thousands of lemmings in human bodies walking around Sweden right now who have their microchip with their COVID vaccine passports. Once they take that last critical step, which is the digital ID, that'll be your access for being able to work, being able to access healthcare, being able to go shopping, being able to get your children enrolled in any kind of school or program, there will be no turning back. If you say no to any of the future things, you'll just be locked out of everything. So that, I think, is the real threat that people need to understand. It's not like the digital ID itself is going to be the end of the world. It's that the digital ID makes all of these other evil things practically impossible to resist. And so here is where we have to make our stand. I've been warning about this for at least 15 years. I mean, when they came out with ID 2020, this was, I think 15 years ago, I did an article about this in the New American. It was already obvious to me then. People can go back and read that article. It was Bill Gates, it was Microsoft and Gavi, it was the Rockefeller Foundation. Like, I mean, why were Bill Gates and the Rockefellers plotting to give us digital IDs at the international level 15 years ago? Was it because of COVID? No, it's because they understood it. And at the same time, by the way, they launched the Better Than Cash Alliance. This was 2012. Again, I covered this in TNA. Ford Foundation, United Nations, Bill Gates, I mean, all the same suspects, Visa, MasterCard. They've been planning this for so many years, so we don't have to speculate. We know exactly what they want to do with this. And yeah, the hacking, the cyber crime, all of that will be a great excuse to move us more in that direction. And it's being implemented, unfortunately, piece by piece by well-meaning people. Texas is having this debate right now. They want to make you have to give your ID to all these big companies to be able to access pornography. Now, I don't think people ought to be accessing pornography. That's my opinion. But the idea that the legislators are being told is, well, this is how we're going to protect children from pornography. So each little piece of the infrastructure is being built with seemingly good motivations. The digital ID is the big prize, after which there will be no exit. There will be no U-turn. So, folks, pay attention here.
No, wow. That is huge. So you know that pornography is one of the biggest industries in the world today. And it is a serious scourge, especially in the young people. So they are saying, when we give out this digital ID, then children will not be able to access pornography. Now, that might be a good seller, but what will come is worse than pornography. Once the world goes in the direction of a digital ID, we are at the mercy of the global elite. Our freedom is totally confiscated, and they can do whatever they want, and that is exactly what they want. And you can see that the intelligence behind this is more than human. It is satanic, and of course, he's working through men. So that is what they are really, really after. And once they get that, they can destroy, depopulate, do whatever they want. Let's go on.
Bill Gates is one of the most hated people of all time. There are just countless articles, forum posts, and memes hating on Bill Gates. Why? I mean, on the surface, Bill should be liked. He's always on the news, appearing to support the masses. He's revolutionized computing. He's at the forefront of climate change activism, while also preparing to give all of his money away to charity. However, doesn't this seem just a little too perfect? Well, that's probably because Bill has spent hundreds of millions, if not billions, on creating his perfect image. He's always on the news and social media, propped up as the wise expert voice on the world. But in your own life, can you name a single Bill Gates fan? In fact, do you know anyone who likes this man at all? I mean, back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, Bill was genuinely liked. He was the Elon Musk of the 90s. However, somewhere, somehow, this all changed, and the cracks in his image are now starting to show. Because the more you start to follow the money of Bill Gates, do you start to understand why he's one of the most hated men alive. Whether it be for the fact that a billionaire alone has the World Health Organization under his personal control, or if it's the fact that he's the biggest landowner in the US, or his very suspicious close connections to Mr. J.E., with J.E. giving Bill Gates marital advice, and Melinda Gates becoming disgusted by Bill Gates' behavior. Not to mention all the countless other reasons, because trust me, this is only scratching the surface. So then who is the real Bill Gates, and how did he become so hated? What was it that changed his public perception? Well, to understand why people are turning on Bill Gates, we need to start with how he even gained his vast power in the first place.
Yep, the man has a very nefarious reputation and has become known for a lot of evil. Even his wife has left him. And we could suspect why, but I don't think there's much room for suspicion. I think the obvious is out there. Anyhow, let's continue.
People are like, wow, this is a bit scary. It's completely new territory.
I mean, will we still need humans?
Not for most things. We'll decide.
I mean,
what? I'm still trying to get my head around that. What does he mean? We won't need humans. What world would it be? What is he, if not human? What kind of future is he imagining? That humans would be elective? He sees the future as some kind of transhuman species evolution, that we're not dependent on human beings anymore. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know how you add that up. So you've heard me, criticizing Bill Gates before. A lot of the things just seem bizarre, but nothing like this. Human beings will not be needed for most things. I still can't even understand what kind of person would say that out loud. Well, I'm a doctor, because I think I have some differences with my colleagues, but I think they at least want to try to protect and help human beings because we are human ourselves. I don't know what kind of future he imagines, but it's not one I want to be a part of.
Pay attention. Let's continue. Yep.
All right, Bill Gates declares the end of the smartphone era. And he, quote, unveils its surprising replacement. So what does this guy who has this much influence predict in his bold prediction that will replace this? Let's read it. In a bold prediction that's making waves across the tech world, Microsoft founder Bill Gates has suggested that smartphones could be obsolete soon. They could soon be obsolete. Watch this, placed by an entirely new kind of technology. Forget everything you know about handheld devices. This is what Gates is saying. He envisions a future where electronic tattoos become the new norm. The new norm. Okay, electronic tattoos. Well, now, what are electronic tattoos? Well, another term for this is a digital tattoo. So when you're digital and electronic, we're one in the same here. Talk about the same thing here. Again, a digital tattoo, also known as an electronic tattoo or e-tattoo or a smart tattoo. So you'll hear these different phrases. Guys, we're educating you here. Again, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. All this is going to play in when we talk about where all this is leading. So you have digital tattoo, electronic tattoo, e-tattoo, and smart tattoo. All four of these terms mean the same thing. It is basically a thin, flexible, wearable device that adheres directly to the skin like a temporary tattoo. It integrates sensors, nanotechnology, and conductive materials such as graphene or polymers. All this to monitor psychological signals, biomarkers, and other data in real time, transmitting information wirelessly to connected devices like smartphones or computers. Now listen to me real carefully. Digital tattoos are already being developed and tested for practical applications, primarily in healthcare, and wearable tech.
So I told you, I think we saw some of this before. There's an expiry date on the cell phone. And that is why I showed the video with Apple. On the back of the Apple phone, they have the bitten apple reflecting on what happened in the Garden of Eden, going against God for knowledge. And the first computer that Apple sold was $666. So 666. There's something about this cell phone. You see, again, that is Apple. That was not Bill Gates per se, but you can see a satanic agenda coalescing, dovetailing, coming together. So we know how much we have become dependent on this, and now they want to outdate this and bring in this tattoo. And don't doubt it, it is coming. This year is Apple 17. How far they will go? Remember, it's advanced technology. So we can see the thing coming. And that's the plan. Everything is what you are hearing here. You can see clearly the hands are writing on the wall. The hand is writing on the wall. So let's continue.
Bill Gates just described a technology that sounds a lot like what you would expect to see in Revelation 13. Folks, if you don't think we're around the corner from the mark of the beast, think again. The world is changing so rapidly, we can't keep up, but there's nothing to fear because God gave us the answers. All right, folks, let's get into it. I cannot believe I saw this article.
Okay, that video was a little longer. I don't know what happened there, but however, you know, in all these issues with depopulation, digital ID, and you know, getting a mark on people, one person keeps coming up: Bill Gates. Let us go on. Okay, I don't know if we are having some challenges with the rest of the videos. I would be because it's like we are now getting started. You are yet to hear.
Bill Gates just described a technology that sounds a lot like what you would expect to see in Revelation 13. Folks, if you don't think we're around the corner from the mark of the beast, think again. The world is changing so rapidly, we can't keep up, but there's nothing to fear because God gave us the answers. All right, folks, let's get into it. I cannot believe I saw this article when I did, but quite frankly, it absolutely should not surprise us. The title of the article is Bill Gates Declares the End, yes, folks, the end of the smartphone era and unveils its surprising replacement. And folks, you will be, well, maybe you won't be surprised when you hear about this because it is obviously so much in line with what the scriptures teach.
That's it. That's it. You know, I had to cut many of these videos and cut many because some have expletives and some are just too long, but there's so many information. There's so much information out there. It's just amazing. I want to be able to stay within a time frame that it can be you can share it and so forth. So let us move on.
Doesn't lie, right?
Okay, so just pause
then why
this. So now I think I have 3 more videos. This one, and this would be the longest, I believe. And I want you to listen to this guy. He brought out some serious stuff, and I'm just giving you a fraction. Of course, I couldn't give his whole presentation, so let's listen to this. Billy Crone, a very prolific speaker. He has a mega church. He's a guy that God raised up from drugs and so forth, and now he's in the ministry, and he's doing an excellent job across the world.
Doesn't lie, right? But you've been like, well, then why do they push us? Because it's come out, folks, that Bill Gates, he grew up in a family that supported this lie, and that's what he's all about. He wants to annihilate 90% of the population. Watch this.
The issue that really grabbed me as urgent were issues related to population, reproductive
Just pause
health.
it there, and probably can go back to the beginning. You heard what Billy Crone said. 90% is what he really wants to destroy. That's about 7 to 8 billion people. This is huge. This guy is serious. And he called him Kill Gates. To the point that his presentation was so explicit and convincing that Bill Gates himself addressed him, this guy called Billy Crone that is calling him Kill Gates. So the word is out there. We need to know what is happening. I am just giving the information as the Lord has spoken to me, and I am sure time will prove what I'm sharing with you here tonight. So let's continue with this.
Doesn't lie, right? But you've been like, well, then why do they push us? Because it's come out, folks, that Bill Gates, he grew up in a family that supported this lie, and that's what he's all about. He wants to annihilate 90% of the population. Watch this.
The issue that really grabbed me as urgent were issues related to population, reproductive health.
But did you come to reproductive issues as an intellectual?
When I was growing up, my parents were always involved in various volunteer things. My dad was head of Planned Parenthood, and it was very controversial to be involved with that because of very, very high medical costs and a lack of willingness to say, you know, is spending $1 million on that last 3 months of life for that patient, would it be better not to lay off those 10 teachers and to make that trade-off in medical costs? But that's called the death panel, and you're not supposed to have that discussion. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Common sense would tell you if you have a man standing in front of you saying he's going to reduce the world's population by 10 or 15% using vaccines, what does that mean to you? It means somebody's going to die because you put a vaccine in them. It doesn't mean you're going to save people. That's pretty much common sense in my brain.
My brain too. How about yours? It's on tape, folks. These guys say it all the time. I can give you tons of quotes of these people who think they're doing a great service to depopulate the planet. I always like to say, well, if you're so altruistic with that, let's start with your family. But no, it's always somebody else's family, right? This is why, folks, he really is called Kill Gates. He with others, but he's the big linchpin, one of them. He's doing his best to annihilate most of humanity. This is the murderous mindset that will go on steroids in the 7-year tribulation, right? But he's just getting started. He's not just thinking about it. He's not just falling for that lie, promoting that lie, overpopulation. He's putting it into action. And he does that, first of all, with this killer food. Bill Gates is taking over the food supply. In fact, in some of our other studies, we've already seen he is now the largest private owner of farmland in the United States of America. But he's just doing that to help us grow more food. Ain't growing food. So he's limiting the food supply. He's also doing this around the world, not just the United States. And one of the big countries he's helping to buy up all the farmland is in the Netherlands. They're saying, so what? Well, I thought it was so what too until I did the research. The number one exporter of food on the planet is the United States of America. So go figure, if you want to limit the food supply, that's what he's doing. You know who the number 2 is? The Netherlands. The top 2 food producers on the planet, Bill Gates is going in, swarming up, and buying up all the land. Now, why is he doing that? Because now he's come out with his fake meat, right? The fake meat. And we all know that whatever Bill Gates comes up with, it's good for you. No, he's here to kill people. It's now out, secular knowledge, that his so-called fake meat is made with cancerous cells. How many guys would like to have a cancer burger? No, thank you. That's got to be a close second to a chicken, right? But here it is on tape. Watch this.
Bill Gates' lab-grown meat causes cancer in humans who consume it, according to a disturbing new study. Synthetic meat has been heavily promoted by Bill Gates and the globalist elites at the WEF as the solution to so-called climate change. However, this fake food has now been shown to cause cancer via immortalized cell lines used to manufacture it. Not content with poisoning your heart with mRNA vaccines while he sends your grandma to a death panel for being useless, Gates wants you to sit down at the dinner table to eat his repulsive tasting synthetic meat, which just so happens to riddle you with incurable cancers. The problem is that the materials used to make the product, immortalized cell lines, replicate forever, just like cancer, which means, in effect, that they are cancer. Industry types are confident that eating such products poses no risk, but it's not difficult to see, even if the products are proven safe, how people might be put off by the thought that they're eating a glorified tumour. The dangers of fake meat made using immortalised cell lines come from the fact that long-term safety data for its consumption are not yet available. You shouldn't be surprised. After all, it's not the first time Gates has attempted to push an experimental product on the masses in order to generate enormous profits for himself and catastrophic results for the rest of humanity.
In other words, what's it going to do? It's going to kill people. Once you understand what this guy's all about, it explains everything he's doing, folks. The 2 motives, that could be a whole nother study that when I did my deep dive on him, there's 2 things that drive Bill Gates. Number 1, make money. He goes and creates monopoly. And that's actually what he's doing right here. He's creating a monopoly on the food supply. You can only get it from him. He's going to make bank. But that's only the first half. He exists to make money and to murder people. And so with his decisions, he kills two birds with one stone. He's going to force you into eating the only meat left, fake meat, and he's going to make money, but then it's going to kill you. This is what he is. This is who he is, right? But speaking of food supply, what else do we ingest? Not only meat, what do? Fruits and veggies. And aren't you glad that Bill Gates has come up with a new way to help us with our fruits and veggies too? Yeah, I don't know if you guys ever seen this, but this is out. He came up with what's called a peel. And a peel is what he says, this is going to help keep our fruits and veggies. It's a coating that you put on them, and it's going to supposedly help them preserve them longer for our benefit. Well, secular research has come out. It just so happens that guess what the peel is made of? And I quote, you can see the picture, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, and lead. Pretty much. You think that's good for you? So think about it. So here we have our meat supply that you're making out of cancerous tumor cells. And then the other thing that we eat to survive, fruit and veggies, you're putting arsenic, lead, mercury. What's that going to do to people? It's going to kill them. You know, it's almost like this guy's trying to kill us. He is. But wait a second. What else do we need to survive? We need meat. We need fruit and vegetables. We need to drink water. He's not messing with the water, is he? Yeah. I don't have time to go into it, but if you look at the land that he's specifically buying up, he's killing two birds with one stone. The land that he's buying up is not only farmland, underneath it is freshwater aquifers. He's controlling the water supply as well. And then it just so happens he's coming out with a new and improved water for you and I to drink. Isn't that wonderful? But do you know what it's made of? Human feces. Do you want to drink duty water? That's about as clean, pun intended, as I could put it. Here it is on tape. Watch this.
A new treatment plant designed to help the developing world turn human waste into, believe it or not, drinkable water. It sounds unappealing to say the least, but sewage and water are huge problems. So the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funded a new kind of treatment plant in Sedro-Woolley, Washington, about 70 miles north of Seattle. Here's some of the video that is getting attention on YouTube showing how it works.
Over 2.5 billion people have no access to safe sanitation. We asked brilliant engineers to help us solve this problem. And one of those engineers actually has proposed a solution where the waste is valuable.
The Omni processor turns sewer sludge, which is kind of nasty, into clean drinking water.
Although the production of drinking water is great, the goal of this project is to improve sanitation for all developing countries. Would you drink the water that was extracted from human feces right in front of you? And
no. But that's what he's doing. Wait a second. I may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer, and the peas may have slid off my casserole. But I'm kind of thinking that, wait a second, you're giving us cancerous meat, cancerous fruit and veggies, and water from human feces. I'm kind of thinking it's not going to be good for us. Anybody? It's like he's trying to kill us. But then for those of you who think, you know what I'm going to do? I'm getting off the grid. Right? I'm going to grow my own food. I didn't escape that. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But this guy is so sick, so twisted, and so evil, he's trying to mess that up too. And this is what he started, I kid you not, back in 2006. You can see it. I knew about this for many, many years, but I didn't realize it was Bill Gates who funded this. It's called the Doomsday Seed Vault. No project is more interesting at the moment than a curious project of one of the world's most remote spots, Svalbard. Bill Gates is investing millions in a seed bank on the Barents Sea near the Arctic Ocean, 700 miles from the North Pole. And what they're doing is they're storing all the master seeds of every plant on the whole planet in this place. And this is not a conspiracy theory. It really exists. The secular news will even report about it. Let's take a look at this quick clip.
Norway's top secret Doomsday Vault, better known as the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. This vault represents a secure backup facility for the world's crop diversity on the Norwegian island of Spitsbergen in the remote Arctic Svalbard archipelago. It's one of the most important buildings on Earth, and yet so few people don't know about it. It's important because it provides long-term storage of duplicates of seeds conserved in gene banks around the world. This building provides security for the world's food supply against the loss of seeds in gene banks due to various events that could take place, ranging from mismanagement, accidents, equipment failures, funding cuts, war, sabotage, disease, and natural disasters. In other words, the plants on Earth are safe from extinction forever as long as this vault is operating.
What do you know that we don't know? What are you doing, and have been since 2006, storing all the master seeds of every plant on the planet? What are you doing? Well, part of it, they know what they're doing. It's called genetic modification. I don't have time to get into this, but the Bible forbids this. Post the flood, right, when mankind was being hybridized out, the whole Nephilim issue, post the flood, God warned again in Leviticus, don't you dare start mixing animals again. Don't you mix seeds together. Don't you modify God's creation. That's what these guys are doing. It's called GMO, genetic modification. And they're doing that with seeds, okay? And, of course, they say, well, it's going to help crops grow faster. But no, it's not. It's actually going to ruin everything because you're messing with God's design. And I quote, Bill Gates' magic seeds, that's what he calls them, will not solve world hunger. They are going to create what? An ecological disaster. Genetically engineered seeds are feral technology. Herbicide-resistant crops that are supposed to control weeds have created super weeds. Bt toxin crops that were supposed to control pests have created super pests. Increases the needs for pesticides, increases farmers' deaths, and driven farmers to suicide in different countries. It's killing people. And that's just if you ingest it. The other thing that they're doing, again, he makes money, he kills people. They've created genetically modified seeds that are called terminator seeds. Meaning, seeds, the beauty of seeds, right? It's God's design for man to be self-sufficient with what's called raising animals or husbandry or farming, growing crops. They're self-replicating investments, right? So when you raise cows, you don't kill all of them. You save some to make more cows. But you don't need anybody for that. You just keep raising cows. You have an endless supply for all your needs. You don't just sell all your crops, you hold some back to what? For the seeds for the next crop. And this is what they've done. Now with these terminator seeds, they're one and done. They don't produce. So you have to always go back to them for your next batch of seeds. You see what they're doing? And they're harmful to you. Make money, murder people. Starting to sound like a final solution for mankind. And did you know he actually let that slip in an interview? That this is part of his final solution for you and I, whether we want it or not? Watch this.
The final solution, which is a year to 2 years off, is the vaccine. So we've got to go full speed ahead on all three fronts.
Just to head off the conspiracy theorists, maybe we shouldn't call the vaccine the final solution. Maybe just the best solution. Okay?
That expression was coined by Hitler as the final move to exterminate all the Jews, 6 million Jews. You think he made that statement by chance? The final solution is when they made the Jews feel that they were going somewhere. They packed their clothes, they went with their suitcases, they marched into the gas chamber, undressed the woman, and they thought they were going to take a shower. They were gassed and they were put in ovens, burned, they took all the ashes, and that went on every single day. Trainloads of people were coming. Bill Gates, this man is wicked. He didn't say that by chance. He spoke about he is guilty of the miracle of the vaccine. How could you be guilty and call it a miracle? This man, something is satanic about this man. Let's go on.
Off is the vaccine. So we've got to go full speed ahead on all three fronts.
Just to head off the conspiracy theorists, maybe we shouldn't call the vaccine the final solution. Maybe just the best solution. Okay?
You evil guy. The final solution is the what? Vaccines.
Just
you think that we're done with that?
Wow. Do you see how much we were on the ball when we stood against that? Remember, 2 years before, we were praying, saying something huge is coming. And the plan failed. It failed, and the video I put up exposing our former Prime Minister Rowley and all the police officers that died, and all the cemeteries that were closed down, and all of that. Over 500,000 views. They just took it on. I mean, imagine, people get paid when you get an amount of views. They are owing us, I guess. They are owing me. They took it down. There's something when I went to the NRB that is called shadow ban. Shadow ban means they will never allow the amount of views you really get to be shown. And I believe there's a shadow ban on Redemption Christian Center. We are getting more views because wherever I go, people are telling me we are senior. When we look up, we just say a few views. But we are not discouraged. Let's continue.
Oh no, they're just getting started. But that is his third method to annihilate humanity. Vaccines. We just went through this, folks, the pandemic. But again, that was the beginning, right? Bill Gates is now messing with the medical industry. And he's turned it into what I call murder for hire, the medical mafia. People have sold out. But my first question is this: when did Bill Gates become a food expert? You want to follow his advice? Looks like those veggie burgers ain't doing him too good, right? But my second question is, when did he become a doctor? Who is this guy? Who does he think he is?
That's right.
But nonetheless, this is what he's doing around the world. Now, he's all about depopulation. So speaking of injections, needles, vaccines, it's now come out that Bill Gates has been using vaccines, first of all, to sterilize people against their will. And you know what shot that he's doing that with? The tetanus shot. It's now come out that is being used to sterilize people in mass. Watch this.
I had a filmmaker reach out to Mary Holland with Toronto Defense, who reached out to me. And so this guy went to Kenya and recorded stories where, specifically in Kenya, the World Health Organization was doing neonatal tetanus campaigns. They were targeting women of reproductive age, and they were giving them 5 doses of the tetanus vaccine.
To help them.
For neonatal tetanus, right? So the whole premise was that it would protect your unborn child from tetanus. But they were already vaccinating all the women in the country for neonatal tetanus as it stood. So a few doctors stood up and said, hey, why are we giving women who aren't even pregnant this vaccine? And not just 1, but 5 doses, spread 6 months apart. So they looked into the research, and the World Health Organization had sponsored for over 30 years research that looked into the tetanus toxoid and the hormone HCG, which is human chorionic gonadotropin. It's the first sign that a woman is pregnant. So they would chemically bond HCG with the tetanus toxoid, and that would make the woman fight her own body at the first signs of pregnancy. And so she would never be able to conceive a child. And so
They knowingly did this, or is this just they didn't understand what they were doing at the time?
So the doctors on the ground were suspicious because normally a tetanus vaccine gives you immunity for 5 to 10 years. They were giving them 5 doses spread 6 months apart. So they tested the vaccines and found that they actually did contain HCG. And it wasn't just HCG, but it was conjugated, which means it was chemically bonded. It means it wasn't contaminated. You could only do that in a lab. So I believe, as the filmmaker, that this was intentional. And I wanted to believe everything that it wasn't, right? Like, I was in denial. I did not want to believe that they were sterilizing millions of women.
But they did, against their will. When I came across this, I'm going, you sneaky, evil, rotten boogers. And then it all kind of made sense. But we didn't think about it because we trusted the medical community, by and large. They are so concerned about our health that in the event that we step on a rusty nail, because that happens about every 3rd day. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I walk out of my house, there they are. I get out, they're all over the place. I try to go to a restaurant, there's rusty nails everywhere, but man, they came out with a tetanus shot. I'm good. Are you kidding me? What are the odds of that? But now it makes sense, doesn't it? What's Bill Gates got to do with this? Everything. And I quote, anti-fertility drugs found in what? Bill Gates' tetanus shot. He's the guy behind it. Mr. Depopulation. When you sterilize people that don't have kids, that's depopulation, folks. What has Bill Gates been involved in doing? The article says stopping people from being able to have children is one of his tactics, while also killing people in the process. That's not an exaggeration. Back in 2014, Kenyan doctors discovered that the tetanus shot provided to them through the funding of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation contained anti-fertility drugs in them against their will. He's also developed a remote control birth control that lasts for 16 years. Yeah, no joke. That really sounds like science fiction, but here it is on tape. Watch this.
Researchers with the biomedical technology company and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, are currently testing a contraceptive with wireless capabilities. It is a microchip that is implanted under the skin and can deliver tiny amounts of hormone like a birth control pill. This chip can hold enough hormone to prevent pregnancy for up to 16 years.
The chip holds tiny reservoirs of contraceptive drugs and releases an appropriate amount of the drug every day for 16 years, and the company received financial backing, of course, from Bill Gates.
This guy's involved in everything. Do you want Bill Gates to remotely control whether or not you can have children? That's another thing he's working on. But that's just sterilizing people, which is a depopulation goal. That's one way to decrease. You can't have kids anymore. But the other method is he's using the vaccines to also kill people. And by God's grace, by his mercy, his wisdom, we were one of the early whistleblowers on the pandemic. God gave us that ability. My first clue was when they said, shut your doors. If you guys remember that journey at our old facility. And I'm going, wait a second. My Bible says, do not forsake the assembly of the brethren. You're asking me to do something unbiblical. Number two, you're asking me to do something unconstitutional. We have a First Amendment, and that's not just the right to free speech. It's the right to assemble, which is why we have a Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, which does not mean a sleeveless shirt you're wearing. It means to pick up arms so that if they violate the first one, then we're going to get our government back. Our founding fathers.
Serious stuff, saints. Serious stuff. This man's name is in everything. Now, I want us to appreciate when the Lord spoke to me about this guy, and I'll tell you at the end, and I'll put everything in context. All those things that he's doing, what we know now, I did not know then. All I knew Bill Gates to be was this computer guy. So, if you were in my shoes, what would you think? Having this secret in your mind and seeing all of this happening, like nobody else is doing all these things, but this man. Think about what I'm saying. But let's continue. We have a shorter video here from Billy Crone, and then we have one more video, and then I'll give you some photos. Okay, let's continue here.
Every generation, there's some guy who wants to rule the world.
Okay,
right?
just pause there. Oh yeah, I have. I think I didn't expect this one to come now, but there's another video with Billy Crone beside this video, in the same suit. So I want to show that as the penultimate, the second to last. So I hope we have that video there also. But it's
by God's grace, by his.
But go back to the one that you were showing there, and then we will bring this in as second to last, and then I think we should have one more. If there are more videos there, let's see all of them.
Every generation, there's some guy who wants to rule the world, right? Yeah. But your book is more about, hey, let's look at the new structures that are evolving. Right. And let's look at them intelligently, right? Because now there is intelligence that can keep track of everybody's money. Mm-hmm. Right? Now there is global economic interdependence like never before. Mm-hmm. We need to look at, so walk us through some of the things we need to look at and go, that's interesting.
Like Bill Gates. I mean, let's start with him. You talk about that in the second chapter.
Yeah, Bill Gates, or I'll just say it.
George Soros.
George Soros, he's at it again. See, we take a deep dive in all these guys, and we find out who they really are and what they're really up to.
And what their assignment is.
Exactly, their assignment and how it fits, knowingly or unknowingly, with Bible prophecy, specifically the infrastructure
and
of the
that's
Antichrist kingdom.
Really important what you're saying, Billy, is knowingly or unknowingly. Right. Not everyone who's part of creating these things is trying to say, oh, I want to build a highway for the Antichrist. You know, they're trying to make the world a better place, some of them. Right. You know, and now some of them, of course, you know, they know they're on the team. But some of them are just trying to do the next right thing.
Yeah. Well,
yep. Let's continue next video.
and by God's grace, by His mercy, His wisdom, we were one of the early whistleblowers on the pandemic. God gave us that ability. My first clue was when they said, shut your doors. If you guys remember that journey at our old facility. And I'm going, wait a second. My Bible says, do not forsake the assembly of the brethren. You're asking me to do something unbiblical. Number two, you're asking me to do something unconstitutional. We have a First Amendment, and that's not just the right to free speech. It's the right to assemble, which is why we have a Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, which does not mean a sleeveless shirt you're wearing. It means to pick up arms so that if they violate the first one, then we're going to get our government back. Our founding fathers were all about freedom. You don't tell me what to say. You don't tell me where to assemble. And so right there out of the gates, wait a second, we started to smell a rat. And for a couple of years, man, we had people at the very beginning, they accused us, you're going to kill people, you're horrible, what kind of a church are you, and all this stuff. And then came the mockery and the scoffing. There's no pandemic. These people are here to help. And now it's all out, isn't it? The masks were a joke. The social distancing was made up. The vaccine was not safe and effective. It's still killing people, still to this day. So we were lied to. Now it's come out. Guess who helped invented it? Bill Gates. CIA agent testifies, we invented mRNA as a bioweapon with who? Bill Gates and the World Economic Forum. In fact, Bill Gates was not only there developing the vaccine, he was there at the very beginning, even before it launched, doing the dry run called Event 201. Watch this. This is pretty wild.
Today, I will be your master of ceremonies for Event 201. Today's scenario is going to simulate meetings of a multi-stakeholder group called the Pandemic Emergency Board. This board has been urgently convened by the World Economic Forum.
In October of 2019, you have a tabletop simulation that is sponsored by who? The funders, the Gates Foundation, the World Economic Forum, Johns Hopkins School for Security, which is funded by NIH and Gates. The major hosts include not only Gates, but also Dave Haynes, who's the former deputy director of the CIA. So what is the CIA doing hosting a simulation on public health? The CIA is not a public health agency.
Bill Gates and his foundation continue to be at the center of everything. He has close ties to Fauci. He has close ties to Deborah Birx. He has close ties to Grover Whitfield. He has close ties to the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab. Right. He has close ties to the World Health Organization. He has admitted to making huge, obscene amounts of profit off of these RNA vaccines. Right. He was involved deeply in not only the planning for Event 201, which seems, as Bobby demonstrates, foreshadowed all of this. He funded it. Okay. Exactly. Event 201 was basically run by the CIA with Gates funding at a CIA spook shop at Johns Hopkins. Okay? Exactly. Every time, every corner you turn, there's Bill Gates looking at you in this whole mess.
And the mess is the understatement of the year. It was the COVID-19 pandemic. It was a premeditated lie. That's Dr. Robert Malone, if you want to do the research. I don't know that he's a Christian. I hope he is. I don't think he is, but here's my point. He's the guy who helped to invent the mRNA, he's now come out and saying, they're not using it for good. That's from him. And guess what? That was pre-planned. They're already running the next simulation. This one's called not Event 201, it's called Catastrophic Contagion. And guess who's running it again, just like last time? Bill Gates, John Hopkins, and the World Health Organization. Of course, they're not going to call it COVID-19. They've got another one that they've come out with, and it's got a really creepy name to get you scared. It's called Disease X. Part of the final solution. Now, they learned some lessons from last time. Not everybody took it. A lot of people resisted. Okay? So Bill Gates has thought of that. He's now launching, for the next one, an outfit called GERM. GERM stands for Global Epidemic Response Mobilization. Basically, it's like a medical army that will be established around the world to make sure you get the next jab. And you're going, wait a second, next jab? What are you talking about? And I quote, same article, Bill Gates along with Dr. Anthony Fauci. Wait a second. Didn't he just get pardoned Biden's last day in office? Why did he do that? Maybe because he's not done with his evil deeds. Bill Gates and Dr. Anthony Fauci have also funded research claiming, quote, bird flu will be the next pandemic, and, quote, there's an mRNA injection for that stockpiled, waiting to be used on humans. It's pre-planned again. And according to a report, they're going to do their best to get mRNA technology into everyone on the planet. And that's his goal. A lot of people resisted last time. They want to make sure this next time the whole planet gets one of his shots. He admitted it on tape. Watch this.
Given Gates' mammoth investment in vaccines over the past decade, his insistence that
things won't go back to truly normal until we have a vaccine that we've gotten out to basically the entire world.
On tape.
Wow.
That's his goal.
Wow.
And they're bad for you. They kill you. They sterilize you. Of course not, Ruth. Because he's the elite. And they know what's best. And they're killing people because it's their altruistic duty because the planet's going to blow up. These guys are sick. They're satanic. This is the same, I'm telling you, the same murderous mindset of the Antichrist. It's going to be a slaughter fest. And I believe these guys are going to help to be used to get the job done. But this is what's going on. Now, Bill Gates is also trying to warm you up to the next one. Because some people had a fear of needles. You and I was like, no, you ain't getting nothing in me. You ain't genetically modifying me. You ain't going to violate my body. You ain't got no right for that. Some people didn't do it just because I don't like needles. Well, he's thought of that. He's now come out with this one. It's a vaccine patch, right? If you don't like needles, Bill Gates is here for you. He's got it all figured out. He can still get that jab in you. Here's a close-up. It's just a patch, right? Isn't he wonderful? He just thinks of everything just to make sure you get that shot. But then you're thinking, well, there's still a lot of little pokey needle things on that. I'm not a big fan of that. Well, he's come out with this next one. And I quote, Bill Gates funds needle-free mRNA vaccine. And I quote, Bill Gates has funded research that would enable the delivery of the mRNA vaccine technology via, listen, under-the-tongue vaccine wafer. Anybody can do that. Is there a large population on the planet that's used to doing the wafer thing? I'm sure the new Pope would never go along with this. Wow. And you're thinking, well, so what? I don't care how many inventions he comes up with, I'm not going to do it. Well, they thought of that. And I got this when I was in Australia. This just came out. Canadian government begins testing inhaled COVID mRNA Aerovax. It's like a nasal spray now. So you don't have to worry about any kind of a jab, any kind of needle, however small. In case you think you're going to choke on that wafer, all you got to do is go with this mist. The problem is, if you put that photo up there again, is if you can put it in an aerosol, that means you could do it from the sky. They wouldn't do that against our will, would they? This is crazy, folks. This is what they're doing. And here's the latest one. You're saying, well, I'm going to close my doors. I'm not getting no jab, no nothing. And praise God, that should be your attitude. Look at what this sicko's doing now. He is genetically modifying mosquitoes to administer vaccines bypassing informed consent. Now this one I thought, oh, come on, that's got to be conspiracy. There's no way this is true. It is. They're called flying syringes. He'll get that vaccine into you one way or another. Watch this. It's actually admitted on tape.
Gates came up with yet another brilliant plan to improve the world. He paid the British company Oxitec millions of dollars to develop a program to genetically modify mosquitoes. Oxitec developed a modified version of Aedes aegypti, the mosquito responsible for transmitting Zika and dengue fever.
Is production of a transgenic mosquito as a flying syringe to deliver protective vaccine via saliva. The Gates Foundation's been funding all sorts of genetic engineering of mosquitoes, and there's a lot of talk about using mosquitoes and the mosquito bite to help vaccinate certain populations.
Just a few weeks ago, Bill Gates funded the release of genetically modified mosquitoes in Texas and Florida through the company Oxitec.
Why on earth is he spending millions of dollars on genetically modified bugs that can be and have been deployed to spread disease and to vaccinate people?
Because he's trying to kill us. Right? Make money, murder people. Been here in Vegas now for 14 years. You know, I've just noticed the last year or two, one thing that I appreciated moving here to Vegas that we never had, mosquitoes. Where's all these mosquitoes coming from? Vegas never had mosquitoes. That's why I used to brag to everybody, I come to Vegas, yeah, it's hot, who cares? I can eat my backyard with no bugs. But what's going on right now? Where are these mosquitoes coming from, folks? These guys are sick. Speaking of insects, you do the research. Insects are not the only way, and this is not the only time Bill Gates is using mosquitoes to try to kill people. This is old hat. These guys are always looking for the cheapest method to get the job done. And when it comes to insects, they call, this is their term, not mine, a poor man's nuke. Because it's really cheap, right? This was actually admitted on Tucker Carlson's new news broadcast. I wonder why he got kicked off Fox. But watch this.
Stuffing fleas with the plague, stuffing mosquitoes with deadly Trinidad virus, and then stuffing ticks with either deadly or incapacitating diseases like relapsing fever, Venezuelan equine encephalitis, rabies, leptospirosis, which is another spirochete. So it's just like Dr. Strangelove trying to make new diseases, mixing bacteria and virus in ticks with the intent of this is the perfect stealth weapon. It's poor man's nuke. You drop these insects on an enemy, it weakens the population, it ties up the medical resources, but doesn't destroy infrastructure like a nuclear bomb would. And in one report from a bean counter in the military, they said, tularemia, which is tick-borne tularemia, also rabbit fever, we can kill 10,000 people at $1.33 a life.
It's hard to digest all of this. It's just so evil.
Yeah, it is. But that's how much they think of us. What's the cheapest way I can kill you? I got it down to $1.33. That's all we're worth to them, or nothing. When I was in Australia, I just reminded the audience, hey, listen, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and I hope they don't launch another pandemic, but it seems like they're getting staged to do it again. And as a shepherd, I need to love the flock, teach the flock, care for the flock, but I need to warn the flock too of potential danger. That's what a shepherd does. And when somebody's coming to try to hurt the flock, that's why a shepherd has a staff, and then I start to beat them. And I'll beat Kill Gates all day long because he's trying to hurt us. He's trying to hurt me, my family, my church, us as God's family. But the second thing we need to realize, Christian, it's not just that. It's not just a pastoral thing. And this is what I reminded me. It's a moral issue, guys. And if we don't sneeze, and I hope we don't, at the reality that we need to warn as many people as we can about babies being murdered in the womb. Call it abortion all you want, but that's what's going on. Babies being murdered. And we need to warn that, right? As Christians, it's a moral issue. We need to stand up for life. Then why would we even hesitate when adults are being murdered in mass outside the womb? But so many do. It's no different. It's a moral issue, guys. We need to speak up and speak out and at least give people a fighting chance. I like what one guy says this. He said, Bill Gates continues to earn his reputation as, listen, the most evil man on planet Earth. This diabolical mass murderer never seems to run out of ideas on how to inflict the most damage possible on innocent people while enriching himself at the same time. Watch this. Gates is truly a genius, quote, an evil genius. And I agree. And folks, this again is part of the Slaughterfest mentality, the murderous mindset in the 7-year tribulation. I don't even have time to get into it. Revelation chapter 9, in the trumpet judgments, it said the people were so wicked, they refused to get right with God. Why? Because they were involved in certain things. They would not repent of their sorceries, which is pharmakeia, as in big pharma, and they would not repent of their murders. Big pharma would be used to murder people? And they're so stinking evil, they refuse to repent of that behavior? That's in the 7-year tribulation. And folks, that's the whole point, right? That's why Jesus said of that time frame, for then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive. This is what we're seeing. We're seeing the lead up to the 7-year tribulation, but that's why Jesus also said this for you and I. When these things begin to take place, stand up, lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near.
Wow. Now I have one more video. And Billy Crone said something there at the end of that presentation, trying to convince the church that just as abortion is evil, killing adults is evil. Why? Because to date, the church, by and large, has refused to acknowledge what is really happening. And it's plain to see. It is confirmed that they lied to us. They lied to us in Trinidad. They lied in St. Lucia. They lied in Grenada. They lied in Barbados. And they slaughtered a lot of people. A lot of ministers here. Probably now it's over about 30 of them have died or more. The last time I counted. And everybody remains hush, hush. But you know what? I cannot get too worked up about that. I have to be very careful and just pray for me that I remain humble, given the information that the Lord has given to me, and just do what the Lord has told me to do, because I don't think it makes me better than anybody. So I want to give you this final video. This is a part of this video. I had to cut out certain things because of, some statements that are not too kosher to be used in the church or at all. I don't like certain statements. So let's listen to this.
Why is Bill Gates worshipped? Can anyone explain that to me? What is it about Bill Gates? What is it about Bill Gates that is so special? Can anyone tell me? How does a man like this, with billions and billions and billions of dollars, get to say, I want to block out the sun? Did you hear about this? He wants to block out the sun. He's geoengineering mosquitoes, and he invests all his money in depopulating the world. And this all comes out of his mouth. I want to show you this, and I want to know, and I know people that actually like praise, they love, my neighbor that used to live in Chestnut, New Jersey, is like, we always contribute to the Gates Foundation because he does so much. He does so much? Bill Gates is an Avengers character. Play these things by him.
Population growth. That's this big benefit. The key thing you can do to reduce population growth is actually improve health.
In the developed countries, the big winners are countries that have shrinking populations.
I would like to reduce the number of people on the planet because there's too many of us.
Oh, really?
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that. So in the next 5 to 10 years, for the next pandemic, we'll solve all those problems.
You say the next pandemic. There will be another pandemic.
Absolutely. We don't know when.
History teaches us that the next pandemic is a matter of when, not if.
We know what's next. We're going to have another major coronavirus pandemic before the end of this decade, before 2030.
If we really want to prevent the next pandemic, and there will be one, there will absolutely be an outbreak of another
It's amazing
pandemic.
how people know what pandemics are coming. It's amazing how this guy, he talks about we need to depopulate the world. Everyone that talks about depopulating. Have you all traveled? Have you been to Middle America? It's nothing but space. Space, land, and space. Oh, now we play God? We decide who's going to live and who's not going to live? Do you remember years ago when we used to look at China and we'd go, oh, you know, that's a sick country because they don't allow, you know, if it's a son or if it's a daughter, they have to get rid of them. It's like, what kind of country would do that to their children? The U.S. would. And you're allowing Bill Gates to say it, and people still put this man on a platform. He's playing God. He gets to decide who will live and who won't live because which I didn't know he was a scientist. And I didn't know he was a doctor. The last I checked, he was like a computer whiz who also was under investigation by the government a long time ago because he was the guy that created viruses when he was the only one that knew how to fix the viruses. Oh, genius, sire. And then he took his millions of dollars and he changed his whole image to be like, hi, I'm the vaccine guy. Let's go to Korea and kill kids. Korea didn't have autism until vaccines showed up. I didn't say that. That's not a fact. I'm not a scientist. But I've seen plenty of interviews that say the same exact thing. But hey, Bill Gates, isn't he brilliant? Guy, what a good guy. He contributes. He pays off. You know what all sick individuals do? They pay people off. Here, I'm a good guy. Ain't I a good guy? I'll pay for your foundation. Foundations, a lot of times, are big write-offs for billionaires. They need to write off a lot of money in taxes. That's what they do. Hey, here's a contribution to your foundation. Tax write-off. Here's a they don't care about the contributions. It's a tax write-off. And then the people that get it, I will never forget this statement. I lived next to a guy that worked for Moderna. Actually, take it away. Moderna, great company. Really. Love what they do. This guy worked for a vaccine company. True story. And when the whole thing was going down, I'll never forget, we stopped in the street and he was all caught up in the news and he asked me if I got vaccinated. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. And he said, why not? I said, there's no need to. He goes, no, you know, and he tried to explain to me what his little scientific friends taught him how to sell the product. And I'll never forget this quote. I said, well, what about the side effects? What about the people that are affected in a bad way with vaccines? And his exact words were, he paused and he went, the good outweigh the bad until it's your child. And the good outweighs the bad when it comes to how much of this is made. The good outweighs the bad. As long as we get that. If there was no money involved, would it exist? Would you have shoved it down everyone's throat? I don't know. It's a question to be asked. But hey, they're on television. We need to trust the science. Don't trust morality. Don't trust your instinct. Don't trust what God perfectly formulated your body with your own brain to think. Don't trust God who gave you common sense, those feelings that tell you something's wrong. Trust the television. They have the facts. They have the specialist. They have the figures. They have the truth. And they have this in their pocket to sell you. I'll continue to listen to God. I will continue to listen to my instinct. Bill Gates he wants to block out the sun. Are you listening to me? You think I'm lying? Forget, if you don't want to believe Joe Rogan, that's fine too. First play the Rogan clip, then play, this is all over. He's not hiding this. Play this.
As some plan to stop global warming and like shoot particles into the air to block out the sun. And people are like, hey, do you know how many people are on Earth? You can't just come up with that idea and try it. Like, what about the rest of us?
You all need vitamin D.
But imagine being so ridiculous. You're so wealthy that you think, oh, I could just block the sun.
I got so much money, I'm going to block the sun. It's all in your face. They laugh in your face. Play this guy. Play this clip.
So being obsessed with the idea of, quote, blocking out the sun using chalk or other types of chemicals. And Bill Gates has also funded research and projects all around the world, not just in America, but across Europe and various other places that are willing to research and get involved in this type of nefarious, I would call it, practices.
Meanwhile, Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth.
A chemical cloud.
It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light.
I thought this was a conspiracy that planes.
It would create a thin chemical cloud of those
chemicals
particles
in the air.
around
Oh, now
the
it's not
planet,
a conspiracy.
blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface.
Oh, we're going to block the
It would mimic
sunlight.
a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
If there was no money involved, you'd probably chase this guy down the street and you'd beat him to death for even the thought of saying, I'm going to spray things in the air and I'm going to block out the sun. Man, I hope we wake up one day.
With Bill Gates, who seems to be at the present, well, they're pinning the tail on the donkey of Bill Gates being very, let's just say, Antichrist-esque. I'm not saying he's it. We don't know. There's a lot we don't know.
I think that guy really drove it home. Humanity, wake up. Wake up. This guy is evil. I want to show you some, there are so many photos, clips. I can't give you the reading in the interest of time, so I'll just show you the photos, but behind the photos are stories about Bill Gates and what he's doing. So let me just look at a few. So this is robotics. He's very much behind this. If you do a deep dive on robotics, you'll realize that this is not a simple thing. I just didn't have time to get into this. This is huge. It is coming. It is evil. I remember some time ago I told you I had this vision and I saw, it's just like, when I say a vision, like an open vision, there'll be people driving next to you while you're driving, and it will not be people. And we are at that place. And with AI, and we talk about the data centers that they are building now, and they are moving so fast that they are now planning to put the data centers in the sky where it's cold up there, they can cool. Don't have to worry about water. And they're actually moving on all of these things. Because remember, I told you from 2023, what Zuckerberg began, he had to change because he had to break down and restart because it was outdated. And so all of this quantum computing, the different levels of AI, everything is coming together. We are in critical times. Let me just run through some of these things. So he issues warning as 5 million kids will die before 5 years old. How? Why? This man is not easy. Let's go. Someone put up this. Digital ID is coming. Look at the man. He's behind it all. Let's continue. Yeah. Within 10 years, AI will replace many doctors and teachers. Humans won't be needed for most things. Listen, let's pause there. That's what the doctor was amazed at, and he said, what? He is saying, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Why is he involved in so many? How come? No one can arrest him. No one can prosecute him. All of this is being said about him. Nobody is stopping him. He's just going. Let's continue. He wants to redesign cows for climate change. Now to fight climate change. Now understand he's retracting from the climate change stuff. Okay? Let's go on. No normal without vaccines. These things are being said now. This is not when we were fighting COVID. These things are being pushed right now. Digital ID must be accepted by U.S. citizens by 2028. Otherwise, risk exclusion from society. Who is this man to say that? I don't know. I mean, even though the Lord spoke to me, I get kind of wary. Hearing this man saying all these things. Aren't people hearing this, seeing this, becoming suspicious? So this was a bioweapon whistleblower found dead in dark twists before key testimony. That's Francis Boyle, top-ranking international lawyer from Harvard University, was about to testify. Brilliant man, they just find him dead. Remember Zelensky? He is dead. Remember many of the presidents, like the president of Haiti and other African nations, who decided, because I was in Tanzania, the president decided not one single vaccine was issued in Tanzania, and he died. And so it has been going. So, what are you saying, Pastor Gill? What are you saying? You know, I say this very humbly, but I would have wished the Lord didn't give me this task. It's kind of a mixed feeling. But I don't think, and I say this very humbly, anyone else, I may be wrong. There are people who are saying Bill Gates is this, Bill Gates is that, Bill Gates is Antichrist. I don't think anyone else, as far as I know, would have pulled all this information together. Have you seen anything like this? Nowhere. Nowhere. And the reason why I did it is because of what I heard. And I give God all the glory. Really, I really do. So here's what I want to say. I want to go on record as saying this. If I say anything contrary to the Bible is right, Victor Gill is wrong. Let that be known. Again, I want to quote the scripture I started with. 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse 21. Prove all things. Hold fast to that which is good. So don't go by I say. Go by what the Bible says. What the Bible says. So, when I saw all that the Lord showed me concerning Trump, first election he would win, second he will lose, third he will win again. The third time, in one vision, I saw Trump will win, and I saw this. And I'm going to put it in context. You know, I'm not going to put myself out there for people just to talk foolishness and malign me or this church, you know, not becoming. They can say what they want, but hang with me for a little while. But let me tell you what I saw. Here now is the second vision. I saw an antichrist manifestation. It happened unbeknown to many church folks. It happened while many were focused on enjoying themselves, having fun, and exchanging jokes. I saw a man interviewing Bill Gates, and when he was finished, he was convinced that this man is the Antichrist. So the man asked him, "Are you not the Antichrist?" And Bill Gates did not respond. In the vision, when I heard that, I felt both convicted and convinced, because I remember that God had shown me this about 5 years before. I saw this same man. I felt the presence of God upon me. Really, I am telling you that. I felt the presence of God in that hotel. Remember, I went there to hear that God said, "Go, I have something to show you." And the presence of the Lord was there. And so I felt that I had to tell somebody the truth, but I was struggling with how it would be received. And all of this is in the vision. As I was in the process of telling somebody with a double mind of how they would receive it, I awoke out of the vision. And that is May 2024. And I kept that until tonight. Now I want to say this. Hear me good. And for those of you that are listening, and pastors out there, because I know after tonight people will say, "Pastor again said." But hear what I want to say. I'm not saying anything contrary to the word of God. If Bill Gates is not the Antichrist, then he is an Antichrist, one that precursors the final Antichrist. You see, my position here is not to come up and say, "I say this and I say that," and I have more wisdom than that. My purpose here is to give the church a heads up. Watch this man. If he is not the final Antichrist, watch him. He will do a lot of harm, and he has already done a lot of harm. And while I am speaking, he's doing a lot of harm. And but for God, some of you might have been dead. And he would have been the one that is behind it. Now, having said that, I want to read from 1 John 2 and verse 18. Here the Bible says, I'll read the King James Version and the New King James Version. It says, "Little children, it is the last time, and you have heard that Antichrist shall come. Even now, there are," what? "Many Antichrists, whereby we know it is the last time." Now, I will read that same verse from the New King James Version, which brings out a little better hermeneutically. Listen what it says. Little children, it is the last hour, and you have heard that the Antichrist is coming. Even now, many antichrists, plural, have come, by which you know it is the last hour. So in the New King James, it differentiates between the Antichrist and just Antichrist. So I want to stick with that. Probably he is not the Antichrist, but an Antichrist. And we just need to watch and see. But what I saw, I can tell you what I saw. I saw someone interviewing him as the Antichrist. And they asked him, are you not the Antichrist? And let me say this to you. A lot of people suspect him. But because they believe that the church won't be here. That is why you see, even apart from this, I am careful because I am watching for your soul. I am watching for the flock of God and praying. Sometimes I'm home, I'm praying, I'm literally weeping for souls. I say, God, if life is just about having a good home, driving a good vehicle, having a decent church, a decent members who love us, if that is all, what about all those people that are still lost? Is this all our life is about? We got to reach the lost. We got to reach the lost. And that is my heart. And so, this is a big moment because I thank God for the disposition and the courage to obey him tonight. To come and say what I've said here, put everything together. And I got up this morning wondering what I'm going to teach a Bible study. The time rolls over so quickly. And so I was preparing I said, there's no way I could put all of this together and the way I had in mind to present it and so forth. And somehow the Lord just helped me. I use my cell phone, I edit, because the kind of a help I would have had here editorially, I don't have it now. But I thank God for a good cell phone that I could have, cut out some stuff and do whatever. And I must say, sometimes this phone worked the best today. The best. I say, God, you are really with me. When I saw some of those videos cut, I was just, yes. Because sometimes the phone would just stick and it would, if the video is too long, it would just cut off piece. But it never did that for the first time. And I thank God for prayers. So, watch that man. Watch that man. I know all the theological trappings. That's why I say, look, whether you are pre-trib, as I am, mid-trib, post-trib, or pre-rat, prepare. Prepare. Because if what the Lord showed me is true, if for the life that I've lived, the devotion that I know more than any one of you, and for what he has showed me during COVID, and that is true. If this is true, or if this man is the man, time will tell. But let's just suppose he is. We are into times that are much more serious than we think. Why would God give me this? I remember the Lord told me, feed my sheep, otherwise I'll hold you accountable. And the Lord would speak to me and he would say, don't worry yourself about what this one believe or what that one believe. I will use whosoever I want. And you all have seen the prayers of the church. You all have seen. So, from the day the Lord called me at the age of 17, mark my word, I've never stopped praying. To this. So now I wonder, when are you going to stop? How come you don't stop? Again and again and again. So when the Lord begins to speak to me and say, you share this with the world. Then I say to myself, now I understand. Now I understand. I'm telling you, find it again. If this is not the Antichrist, he's an Antichrist. Keep your eyes on him. The Bible says there are many Antichrists, and the man has done worse than many already. Hitler was an Antichrist. He talked about the final solution. Bill Gates used the same words. He wants to kill 90% of human beings. This man had us reeling. Talking about shut down the church. Nothing infuriated me like that. Close the church for 2 weeks. Pastor said, okay. I said, what? I began to call. What are you talking about? They said, well, let's just do it. Next thing I hear, 3 months and it will be okay. 6 months. 3 years. Churches have closed down. People backslide. Bill Gates. Klaus Schwab. He wrote a book, COVID-19. I have it in my library. The Great Reset. Their plan was to reset the whole world. Pastors died like flies here, one after the next. They died. Nobody will come out and say, we were messed up. So like a spirit is still blank, some kind of deception. And instead of that, we are going now. Everybody, they're either marrying people who are already married. We are in the world with all the bobo shanties and the young people doing what they want and nobody's saying anything. Pornography is rampant in the church. Homosexuality. All kind of worldliness. Lord, show me young people smoking marijuana. Some hooked on all kind of stuff. They're on games they can't come off. And we are going to hell in a handbasket and nobody saying anything, a new day is coming, a breakthrough. You're going to prosper. You're going to this, you're going to that, you're going to the other. Listen to what I am telling you. Listen, I'm telling you. From the age of 17 years to now, I walk with God. And I'm telling you that something is wrong. You don't have to believe me. You could believe whatever you want. But just remember this. Hell is too long to be wrong. Ooh. Lord, I got a burden over my shoulder. I obey your voice. Let's trust that he's not the final man. Let's trust that he's not the final Antichrist. And probably we might get some time. But however it goes, remember I told you, I saw another plan, more sophisticated than COVID. And they met with the pastors. And it was, listen to me. The COVID, I'm finished. COVID-19, remember, it was planned. They saw the failure and they are planning a next one. And what I saw, remember they had the media, everything working together, everybody, all the radio stations, the TV, everybody, they planned this thing. So, and then you remember Satan is involved in this. And what I saw, oh Jesus. They counseled the pastor and somehow like money was involved. And the pastors passed the message to the members and tell them not to rebel against it. Take it. I saw a statue like the Hindu statue, Mother Kali in gold, or one of those Hindu deities. And they wanted people to bow to that. People could not preach. I saw a couple preaching and they were standing on a platform. The platform is like that. And I was wondering, how could they stand there and preach? The Lord told me the time is coming when it will be very, very difficult to preach the word of God. I saw surveillance like you can't imagine. And you think, camera, the Lord said, people's eyes will become the greatest cameras. Through fear, like what is happening in Pyongyang, North Korea. People will be watching each other because some system is coming where your credit score will be based on reporting and others. People will be afraid of each other. I saw a room filled with people, Christians. And when an announcement was made, everybody fled in fear. The only person remained was somebody in a fetal praying position. And the Lord told me, only prayer will keep the church. I saw so many things. The Lord told me to warn the people, tell the people. So listen to me now. If you play with your Christian life, you're not praying, you're pursuing this, you're pursuing that, you're not listening to God, and you get left out and left behind, I want you to know, is a whole 45 years of prayer have me standing here to say what I am saying. For you. And if you don't take it, you have no one else to blame. For my life of devotion, God has validated before the whole nation everything that I've said before this nation. And God has blessed me immensely. And you know what the Lord told me today? He said, if you do what I tell you, there's nothing I will not give you. And I'm like, Lord, what else do I need? And the Lord began and said, he said, it is my way to reward faithful servants. You might tell yourself, I don't need this. I don't need a better car. I don't need a bigger house. I don't need a jet plane. I don't need this. He said, but I do these things. That's how I am. All I want is when I do it, you don't change. Men get it and change. But you cannot be faithful and I won't bless you. And some of you, it may not be immediate, but you will do it. And I'm a witness of that now. My children are blessed. They are successful. Look, you know. So now I get up in the morning and I told my wife, I said, I'm living here. And then I get up and I said, you see, here's where I'm living. I said, if I feel like that, I wonder when people come, what do they feel? It's here's where I'm living. And the Lord continues to bless us. We're not like here, oh, Pastor Gill has a big mouth and he's down there in Lavendale and look, his teeth is falling out and he's dropping and his car is like a roving barbecue pit. A barbecue pit on 4 wheels. His children, you can see they are wild, they are all successful, they are master students. Their next step is their PhD, which they can enter anytime and get married. And they'll get the best husbands. My beautiful daughters and my son. All I want now is to see people say, that's what I want. Amen. Stand your feet with me. I love you, church. Thank God for this church. We have some of the best members, caring people here, loving people. This is huge what I've shared here tonight. Share it. Let it go there. Let them talk. Let them talk. We have said nothing contrary to the Bible. We have to speak. Lift your hands and give God praise. Come forward and join me at this altar and just let me feel your presence because I need your prayers now. I need your prayers. I need your prayers. I need a church to stand with me in prayer. Just go ahead and talk to the Lord. Hallelujah. Glory be to God. Glory be to God. Thank you, Lord. Father, we give you praise. We give you praise. Thank you for the information. Thank you for raising us up. Thank you for using us. Thank you for your goodness, your blessing. Thank you for these members. I pray that they'll keep us in prayer as we speak to nations. Keep them also, I pray. Every attack of the devil against your people, oh God. Even Sister Maud in the hospital, Sister Suzanne and whatever, all that she's facing, and Sister Anne-Marie, and my God, in the name of Jesus, we rebuke the devil. Keep the young people, oh God, that they'll be the head and not the tail. That redemption will continue to lead the charge according to your will. We have released this word tonight so that the people can be warned, that they can run. May the church continue in prayer, in unity and love. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. Amen. As you return to your seats, we take the offering tonight.